Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
You're listening to another Big Bug Breakdown from the Element Podcast. What's happening, all my woods people? Today, we are both, Casey and I, that is, driving in separate vehicles this time. And it's unfortunate that we have to do that, but that's just this time of year. As you've seen in the past, if you've been a listener, we drive a lot this time of year. But it's getting to where now we're driving our own vehicles a lot. It's just like hectic, which is kind of what the rut's all about. And today, on our podcast here for this Big Buck Breakdown, we're going to have a guest that is pretty renowned in these circles of hunting, archery, big monster whitetails, Bill Winke, which reminds me that I still have an Iowa tag in my pocket, KC, and I need to do something about that soon.
Oh, man, yeah, you probably just ought to not unload your truck. Just leave everything in there, go home, get your wife and kids, and head to Iowa, I guess, man.
Dude, I'm thinking about it. I don't know even... I kind of wonder how that, how the rut looks up there right now. I know people talk about lockdown in the next few days up there, typically, I guess historically. But, where we've been in Kansas and now in Texas coming into the next few days, it's really going to start rocking as far as just bucks cruising and that kind of thing. And if that's a sign of what it is in Iowa, then I think I need to go. But
yeah,
I just don't know. I feel like they're going to be a little bit ahead of us typically. You think I'm right on that?
I've only been there once on a hunt, so I don't know. It's a good question, man. I mean, that seems to be the consensus from a lot of people, but sometimes a lot of people are wrong too. I know Bill Winke is a very successful Iowa hunter, and he believes that the first week of November is the time to be there.
Yeah.
But I know that he kills deer in late November almost every year. So it's, it's probably just if you want that hot, heavy rut action, then you need to be there early. But, the deer have to exist. I say it all the time, you know, so you just got to figure out where they're at. Now, I think one of the things you're going to run into in Iowa is that sometimes you can't see bucks that are on lockdown because it's thicker. So maybe it might be tough. But, if you can maybe kind of seek out those areas that are more of the grassland type stuff, maybe it won't be that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, if everything went as planned, then deer hunting wouldn't always be that fun. But if I could say that something, like this trip, my next trip to Iowa would go as I would like to have it planned, it would go this way. I'd go up there, and I get in time to do an evening hunt. I go back in there after that big gnarly 10 point that we had so much trouble with last time, and I get close to his bed, and he's still bedding there, and he's, got him a doe, and they come out and they do what they did that evening. The first evening we almost killed him, and they come right by me at about 30 yards, and I smoke him. And that's what.
That'd be nice.
That's
a
what.
good,
That's what needs to happen. Yeah, it's a great plan, I think. The problem with that plan is that most of it is up to him.
Yeah, that's the hard thing with deer. It's funny you say that. I was talking to my wife last night. She was like, just telling me, like, try extra hard this morning or something like that. And I was like, yeah. Here's the thing when you're deer hunting, like, you can do all this stuff, but if the deer just doesn't walk where you want him to, it doesn't matter that you did all that stuff. You know, it's like it is 95% on the animal.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, there's good hunters, dude. We talk about it all the time. There's good hunters, sure. But like, it's still like you said, like 95% of it. All the lucky cards have to come together, man. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Shoot, yeah, man. Sometimes they just don't even smell you when they're downwind. You know, like I had that happen to me a couple times this week. Like, oh yeah, I don't care about that scent. Doesn't matter. And then, you know, the next deer is just like freaking out and runs across the county. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. But anyways, we've been like you've referenced. We've been up in Kansas on a rut hunt, and well, you'll just have to listen to that episode to see how that went for us. But one of my favorite things to do while we're up there is to hang trail cameras, because sometimes when you're in Texas, trail cameras can get like a little bit. Be a little bit of a grind, I guess, to use an overused phrase, because like you never know what you're going to get, and usually it's not much. Well, when you go somewhere where there's a high population of deer and like a heavy rut peak, you're going to get some deer, and that's kind of exactly what happened for us this week. And in fact, you haven't seen the card for this camera yet.
No, I'm still waiting on you to, at the gas station. I thought you were going to show me some stuff or take some pictures and send them to me.
I was in a big hurry.
I know. You're always in a hurry. No, I think, when you put we don't get to put them on just like, bad to the bone scrapes very often in Texas either. And that's one thing that we had our trail camera hanging on a scrape. We might need to post some of those pictures just to show some folks what you've been after. But you've been after one of the biggest 8 points I've seen in a while. Other than looking at the one there in camp, that sits there right in front of you under the TV. But so anyway, the scrape thing is a really cool way to get pictures this time of year, I think. Like the first couple of days, we really didn't have that great a success, I feel like, on it. And then when I went over there and pulled it today, it looked like $6 had been in there and scraped it out, man. It was just
you're probably about right, man. That's about what it was, I think. Dude. And I like it on these Exodus cameras. You can choose how many bursts you want. Like some cameras say it's 1 photo or 3 photo or whatever it is. Like you can choose up to like 11, I think, or I don't know. I don't know how high it goes. Do you know how high it goes? But
yeah, I don't.
You can choose a burst to whatever frequency you like, and you can set it over a scrape, and that works really good for that because it's not taking up a lot of space on your card. Those photos don't take up near as much as what a video does, but you kind of get a sequence of things, and you can kind of tell. Well, one of the things I noticed about scrapes is that a lot of times they're on trees where there's multiple licking branches, especially in the Midwest, and if you don't run a burst, you're liable to trigger that camera from a deer that's not actually on film, because one of the little secrets about trail cameras is that they actually trigger outside of what you can actually see. That way the deer ends up in the camera by the time, it goes off. And that's kind of how they fix the trigger speed thing. Well, these Exodus cameras are really good about having a pretty wide angle of view anyways. But if you make sure you run a burst, you'll definitely end up with that buck on the licking branch you have the thing set up over. And we have got some pretty sick shots of that.
Oh, yeah, dude. We also have we put out an Exodus that was out for less than 24 hours when we checked it on a new permission piece, and we had a toad on there.
Toad daddy.
Best we could tell, it was like a big 9, right?
Yeah, I think he's a 4x5, which is about the only time I'm going to use that type of terminology. But he had, both sides were big. He's kind of one of those deer. It looks like he's like almost got 2 different types of antlers on his head. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like his 8-point side It's not like he just grew a G4 on one side and not on the other. Like his 8-point side looks a lot different than his 10-point side. Well, 3-point or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It gets confusing.
Dude, this is a year of the non-matching sides deer. Remember the buck in Iowa didn't have a really matching set either.
That's right, man. The buck I almost shot this morning didn't have matching sides either. But that's another story too.
The 9?
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to see it, dude. I hadn't seen that footage or anything. We had a jet right after the hunt this morning. We barely got out in time for KC to get back to do some churching and teach some kiddos.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens or not. I'm trying to boogie my way through Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I guess let's get Bill on the phone. Maybe he'll give me something, some information that'll get me an opportunity to kill a buck when I go up to Iowa soon.
Nice.
All right, on the phone now, we've got Bill Winke with Midwest Whitetail. Bill, your season's going pretty good so far, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's, once in a while you'll kill a nice deer in October, but it doesn't happen very often. I was blessed this year to see it happen.
Yeah, I know. It's cool, and I know you've kind of branded the Chasing November thing is kind of one of your things, and for good reason, because November is just an amazing thing in the whitetail woods, but it's really cool when you can go ahead and get one down in October and then have the whole month of November to really try to hone in on another buck. So tell us a story of that buck, man. It seemed like a deer that you really didn't have many tabs on going into the season.
No, and it was I had trail camera pictures of it from 2017 and 2018, and then we filmed them in, I think it was like the 9th or 10th of November in 2018. And it was pretty close to the spot where I shot him. In fact, I was leaving the ground blind where I shot the deer this year, back in 2018, and we walked past a little open field, and we peeked in there, and we could see this, really nice buck, chasing some does around in there. And I said to the cameraman, I said, gosh, we just have to leave that deer. We can't hunt him because he's got so much potential, but he's just a little bit too young. So I thought, well, there's one, and there was a couple others on the farm that were similar to that, really high genetic quality deer, but young. But I was so excited about coming into 2019 and finding those back. Well, as fate sometimes does, I didn't find either one of them back. And, this one I was pretty disappointed about because I put a lot of time in, ran a lot of cameras over in that area, just thinking, okay, I want to find that deer, see what he looks like, see how much he blew up, and just that's as much fun, as anything when you're chasing these deer, is just see what they turn into from one year to the next. Mm-hmm. But couldn't find him, so I'd written him off. I thought, well, either somebody else shot him, late last season, which is possible, or the deer just moved off, or who knows, maybe died of natural causes or EHD or something, and that just wrote him off. So then when he showed up, that was really neat because I think when they're a surprise, it has more of an impact on you than when you've been hunting this one deer and you're just almost too wrapped around the axle on one deer, mm-hmm. and then you have this situation where it's a deer that just kind of comes out of nowhere, and you have enough of a background with that deer to know that it's a special deer. So that was really cool. It was one of the more satisfying hunts that I've had in quite a while.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. And it's kind of interesting to me because I feel like you talk about often how you really enjoy that chase and the pursuit of one particular deer, and then to see you get excited about this one that just kind of came out of nowhere, it almost caught me off guard a little bit, but it's cool and it's neat. So why do you think that deer was kind of in and out of your life so much?
I think he moved either into a part of the farm where I didn't have cameras and then was feeding someplace else. Because I don't like to be too impactful with my camera, so I don't go into any sanctuaries or into any bedding areas or anything like that. I stay on the field edges and fringes and places I can get to either on a four-wheeler or a truck, where I come and go really quick and I don't leave much, as far as impact. But he may have just been living on a different part of the farm and not coming in the directions where I had my cameras, or he was living off the farm. He just happened to drift back there, for a little while. I don't know which one for sure. I haven't heard a lot of information from any neighbors or anything like that about the deer, but even in Iowa here, that would be a big enough deer where I think you'd know if somebody shot it, but maybe not. It's one of those things where, it takes a pretty special deer nowadays to make the news. It used to be 150-inch deer, and everybody was coming over to your house to look at it. Now, I'm dead square honest. You almost have to shoot a 190 before people say, "Can I come over and look at him?"
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't know if anybody's going to be looking at my bucks then.
Yeah, well, and nobody comes look at mine anymore either. but no, it's so it's possible, in my mind that somebody could have killed him, and I just didn't hear about it. So it was fun. It's almost like having, seeing an old buddy, or something like that. It's like, wow, I didn't even know that deer was still alive. It's just a neat experience. But I do really like hunting the individual deer, like you said. That's fun, but sometimes it can be pretty stressful too. I've done it where, I've hunted one deer day after day after day and just grinding away on it and then have the deer get away. Last year was an example of that, and it almost kind of turned me, because I put a lot of time and effort into one deer, and then, I had a 30-yard shot on the deer. I kind of messed it up a little bit. I thought the hit was good. I was excited about it, and then, we just didn't find the deer, and he turned up dead during the winter. So it just kind of, I don't know. It's one of those things, I guess, where, when it really works, it's awesome. And when it doesn't really work, it's like, man, I just put myself through the ringer on this one deer.
Yeah. So is that something that you plan on, with the joy that you kind of got and the impact that this deer made on you, this surprise buck? Is that something you kind of plan to set yourself up to have more encounters with deer that are, in other words, like run less trail cameras or try to develop a little less history kind of purposefully to have more surprises? Or are you still going to stay after deer like you have?
Probably not have, less information. Probably what I'm going to do more is not have one deer that I'm after.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to spread it out so there's, 2, 3, or 4, even if they're not great trophies. Just be able to move around a little bit more and not get so dialed in on one deer that you every single day, all you can think about is, where's that deer today? That can be almost too much. So I think having multiple targets and then being able to bounce around, and every once in a while hunt places that you don't really know about, and that's where we're going this afternoon. We're going to go specifically trying to find another surprise buck. We the last 2 mornings, 3 mornings, two of the last 3 mornings, we've had bucks that I had, quote unquote, on my shooter list within bow range, and I didn't get either one of them killed. But neither one of them were deer that was like, wow, I really want that deer bad. They were just mature bucks, nice solid deer. So I thought, that's pretty cool. They're out there, not been out of shape, having them get away, like you would be if you just had one deer.
Yeah.
You were so locked in on that one. So it's just a little bit more comfortable. This is supposed to be fun, and
sure.
And we make it too serious. Sometimes I think we can take away some of the, the joy aspect of it by really dialing too much on one deer. So I guess to answer your question is just maybe trying to have more targets, and then spread it out and keep the atmosphere a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, man. And I think a lot of us have been there where you just, for some reason, you get just enamored with a specific deer, and it's almost natural for it to happen. And I think it's just the competitive nature that a lot of us have. But it's kind of relief when you just, like, that's why we do the public land thing quite a bit, because you just kind of show up and, if you see something you like, you shoot it, and it's really cool. So, with the surprise buck thing that you experienced with this deer, and then, you said you're going to go target a buck that's another surprise buck tonight, maybe something that you don't know about. I know with you, one of your big things is like having deer on camera, getting to know them that way, and really evaluating a deer, deciding its maturity and everything. How do you determine on a surprise deer if it suits your fancy, if you don't have that history with it?
Well, in some cases, they really aren't surprise deer. Mm-hmm. They're deer that, were maybe a couple of years ago or a year ago were on your radar a little bit, but you just never tried too hard to find them back. That's not sort of the thing. Very few, I shouldn't say, I suppose, that very few of the deer that I've killed over the years were a total surprise. This buck, he was a surprise that he was still on the farm. He wasn't a surprise from the standpoint that he was alive. Because I had some history with the deer. So it's pretty rare for me to go any place on the farm and bump into mature bucks that I don't have any history with.
Yeah.
But that can happen during the rut. It really can. And going to places where maybe you're closer to neighboring properties, or someplace where there's a lot of habitat, a lot of there's got to be more deer out there than what I've got pictures of. That's kind of what your mindset is. Surely I didn't photograph during that 2-week period, but when my camera was down here, every buck that lives here. So those are the kind of spots that I'm kind of diving into a little bit more now. Is just you having a little bit more, I guess, just uncertainty with what might show up. But to come back around to that question, if the deer did show up that I didn't have any history with, it's all in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
You know right away. If you have to say, gosh, I should really shoot that one, I'm not sure. You probably shouldn't, because he's probably not the one that's going to trip your trigger. Mm-hmm. When you see him and you go, oh man, look at that one. You're good. That's the one you need to be ready, because your mind has already told you that's a shooter. Mm-hmm. So if you have to talk yourself into shooting it, it's probably not the right deer.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's good advice, man. Well, very cool, Bill. Congrats again on that big buck. It's cool to it's always neat as a watcher or a viewer of Midwest Whitetail to see you get excited about a deer, and in that video you could definitely tell that that deer was a special thing for you. So congratulations on that buck, and I hope that you get to experience that again a couple times this season, man.
Well, you too. I appreciate that, and it's always good visiting with you guys, and I appreciate what you do, and thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. So Midwest Whitetails on Mondays. Where can we find all that stuff at?
I'll tell you the couple ways that people are really starting to dig into what we're doing now. We started a new app. I work with Realtree, helping them to develop some digital content, and their new company is called Realtree Digital, which I have part ownership in that. We have a new app called Realtree 365, and that has all the Midwest Whitetail stuff, all the daily video blogs, all of the weekly episodes. Chasing November's on there. You can watch it on any device. You can watch it on your television, on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV, I believe. But anyway, it's just a place where you can get a lot of outdoor content. That's one place where you can watch this stuff. Otherwise, you can go to the MidwestWhitetail.com website, and everything is there. Or you can go to the various YouTube channels that we manage. And one of the things we've seen more popularity towards the daily content. Mm-hmm. So, basically, the hunt that we had this morning plus the hunt that we have this afternoon will be posted late tonight on Midwest Whitetail Daily. Yeah. Yeah. If you go to that daily channel, you'll be shocked with how spontaneous the content is. It puts a lot of extra work on the editors, but the viewers really like it. Mm-hmm. We're getting a lot of good reviews there. So you can find the dailies on the Midwest Whitetail website or on the YouTube channels, Midwest Whitetail Daily YouTube channel or the Realtree 365 app.
Yeah, cool. Awesome, Bill. Well, we'll definitely link to all that stuff below, and good luck this afternoon, man. I hope you see another giant.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. You too. Good luck to you guys.
All right, thanks, Bill. We'll see you.
So speaking of properties that you own and have the opportunity to manage, KC has a property that he's been managing and got some really sick CRP grass growing and stuff right now. I guess it's not CRP, maybe not the right term, but that style of grass is not necessarily in the program. Yeah. But anyway, you, right before we left to go to Iowa, had a really good hunt there. We just dropped the video from that hunt. You had a new 8-point show up that's really big. He's heavy. He's tall. Unfortunately, he's not super wide, and so you weren't really sure what to do with him. It sounds like you're kind of thinking about letting this deer walk until next year maybe.
Well, that's what I did the other morning. I'm not going to say it was a legit pass because I never made the conscious decision I'm not going to draw my bow right now. But I didn't make moves to try to kill him because I was just really unsure about the width. And everyone I talked to, including people who are real knowledgeable about deer, seem to think this deer is going to be plenty wide enough. But, we've got weird antler restrictions in our part of the state where they have to be 13 inches or wider. And a lot of times, if you listen to this podcast, you've heard us whine about this plenty. But a lot of times when you don't live in an area that has super great genetics, a mature buck still might not make that. So it's almost as if you were managing for having deer that don't meet your requirements.
Right.
So it's kind of counterintuitive. But anyway, hopefully I can take a little inspiration from Bill and just pull a surprise buck off of one of the neighboring properties or somebody I haven't seen yet, and don't want to have to worry about it too much. I'm just predicting right now that I'm going to have about a 19-inch wide 10 point that's going to be about 132. That's what I'm going for, man.
That's a wide buck.
It is a wide buck. It is a wide buck. I'm going to name him Wide Load. I don't think I've heard that one before.
No, I hadn't either. Had not. So what are your plans, I guess, going forward this week? Are you going to be doing some Texas hunting?
Yeah, probably when I can. I got to get home and get to work.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does. It really stinks. It would be great to just hunt for forever and always, but when you also dabble your toe into the real world too, you gotta get home and get to work a little bit. But I am going to for sure go and check a trail camera in the morning to see what's been happening at my property, see what my food plot looks like, see if there's still corn hitting the ground out of the feeder, make sure that feeder battery isn't dead, and just kind of gear up. I don't know. I would like to hunt some Texas public pretty soon because this is the time of year to be there, man. And so it's that's one of the nice things about doing the Midwest thing and then coming home. It's like you're not really missing too much, at least where we live, because the rut's kind of even further back still. So it's just kind of you hit the ground running when you get home. Yeah. But you actually did some Texas hunting here recently.
That's right. Yeah, and we're gonna do a whole podcast about that here pretty directly. So as soon as you listen to this big buck breakdown, if it's not in the first day or so, then go listen to the Texas podcast. I had some success in Texas on some public land, and so we're going to do a little kind of recap of that. So like I said, if it's the first day that this thing releases and you're listening to it, then look forward to that in the next couple of days. Otherwise, just go listen to it because it's going to pop right here pretty soon. And then after that, next up on the podcast, about a week from this podcast, is going to be Kansas recap. So a lot of crazy things happened there. So many close calls. I feel like I learned a lot. I don't know about you, but
I learned enough to where I feel like I could go back and kill. You know what I mean? But he had to leave. And I expressed this to you last night. I'm getting to the point of frustration of always running out of time. Yep. It seems like every hunt that we've been on together this year, it takes us until the last day or so to really put all the pieces together, and then we almost close the deal. Yeah. Like, for instance, there was a stand move that needed to be made, and we just didn't have time to make it, and I think I would have killed if I'd have made that stand move. But we'll dive into that on that next week's podcast. But, yeah, I learned a ton too, man, and there is some good with it too. There's a lot of things to look forward to going back.
Oh, yeah, man. Lots of bucks, dude. Lots of shooters, man.
That's the best part about going somewhere. Yeah. In the Midwest is dadgum just deer population. The higher the deer population, usually the more bucks there's going to be. And if you're in a place where there's good genetics and good food, those bucks can get very big. That's
right, man. That's right. Well, yeah. I think that's a good way to wrap it up then. I guess, for me, I'm going to be hunting some Texas public this week probably. So lots to talk about in the next few weeks. Hopefully we can get it all in. Keep looking out for these big buck breakdowns. They're fun for us, man. I know it's probably fun to listen to as well. I know that I go back and listen to them a lot of times just to relive the things that are actually happened during the season. It's just there's something about your buddies killing deer. It's just something that makes it fun. So
it is, man. I mean, we got to experience deer camp just a little bit up there this week, and whenever you live in like a digital world, deer camp isn't just restricted to the place you're at. You know, you're in contact with people who are killing deer, and it's fun. And if it gets you down, then maybe you're not thinking along the right way. You know what you know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy, and I do it too. It's easy to get on social media and be like, man, everybody's killing deer except me. But really, like, just let's all be happy for each other, you know, and cheer each other on. And the ones that aren't killing, you know, maybe make sure that you're encouraging those folks like me, who I need a little encouragement from time to time.
Dude, no kidding, man. I mean, you gotta also remember this. I was thinking about this earlier today, where I saw I think it was Hoyt or something posted that there was a new world record mule deer possibly killed or something. Yeah. And anyway, you know, I feel like that sometimes if you're on that stuff too much, that you can get a little bit just kind of calloused to how big a 130-inch deer is. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, people don't look twice at that deer on social media hardly, but if it came in to most of the people that listen to this podcast, if it came in to your stand and gave you a shot, you would be like, golly, that was the coolest thing I've ever done. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a big deer. It's rare. There are 11 million people out there hunting deer, you know, or whatever it is. So, you know, there's going to be some big ones killed, and they're going to surface their way through all the channels of Hoyt and whoever else wants to post a big deer picture to make their social media bigger, you know what I mean? So, anyway, just keep that in mind. Remember that, and remember, this is your element.
Live in it.
Well, I've always heard blood is thicker than water. It's why she moves so slow when you look down upon her. Well, I can see it cross and it still looks the same. It's a rain.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.